Welcome to Swing State University, a college golf and lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, James Boone. And joining us this week is Justin, founder of Two Putt Coffee. This episode of Swing State University is brought to you by Two Putt Coffee. Success on the course starts with a solid routine, and Two Putt Coffee is the fuel that keeps golfers focused and relaxed. Collegiate golfers interested in Two Putt's newly launched ambassador program that includes exclusive product discounts, social media exposure, brand collaborations, and more can email hello@twoputtcoffee.com with the subject line College Ambassador to find out more. And as a token of appreciation, Swing State University listeners can take 30% off their next order through twoputtcoffee.com using the code SwingStateU. That's SwingState and the letter U for 30% off any order of grade 1 single origin coffee and merch. Play relaxed and focus on what counts with Two Putt Coffee. All right, y'all, welcome into the show. Part 3 of a 3-part series we're calling the Swing State Coffee Break. It's been a really cool journey. We've had, obviously, Bartholomew Jones hopping on the show from Coffee Black. Has been able to share a little bit about the journey of Coffee Black, what the last 6 years have looked like for them. Even just this past week, we had Orange Grounds Coffee with my friend Daniel, owner of Orange Grounds Golf and Coffee. They found a way to implement golf, coffee, combine the two, open up kind of a one-of-a-kind shop up in Jakarta, Indonesia. It's been really cool to see what they've done over the last year. To cap off this 3-part series, the Swing State Coffee Break, I'm really, really excited for our guest today. We have Justin from Two Putt Coffee. And Two Putt Coffee is a coffee roaster. We're going to let him lay out what the last year has looked like for him in terms of getting up his coffee business. But I felt like he was the perfect guest to close out our 3-part series because, one, there's not too many brands out there that are like this, but then also I feel like it does a really awesome job of incorporating golf and coffee, which is the goal of this last month endeavor. So if you've joined us at this point, we thank you for following along. Hopefully you've learned a little bit more about coffee. Hopefully you've been inspired to whatever you're interested in to continue chipping away at something, because I feel like that's one thing the 3 guests that we've had on have had in common, being persistent and being faithful to whatever dream or aspiration that was put in front of them. So with all that, I just want to introduce and welcome to the show, Justin from Two Putt Coffee.
Hey guys, how we doing? Thanks so much, James. I'm honored to be here. Super excited to share some of what we've been doing at Two Putt, and just really excited to talk to you today. So appreciate that intro.
Absolutely. Thanks for hopping on the show. We'll start here, Justin. I've looked back at a lot of your stuff over the past year. It feels like it's been about a year journey. I'm sure there's probably a whole nother year before we even saw any semblance of Two Putt, the brand, coming to light. Having these ideas of starting a coffee brand or leveraging your interest into golf and seeing that golf boom that's happened over the last 5 years. Like, hey, how can I dip my toe into this industry? What does it look like getting Two Putt off the ground this past year?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's honestly been a crazy journey. So as you said, our website and our social media has been live for just a little under a year now. But before that, we were, putting together our coffee profiles, our roast profiles, and we were selling locally for about 6 to 8 months prior to that. But for the most part, it's been a lot of work behind the scenes. It's definitely been a challenge just getting a brand off the ground. But not only that, just doing everything that you need to do to have a functioning website that looks great, have packaging, branding that looks, on par, so to say. So it's definitely been a fun journey, but something that we're still growing and just getting our foot in the door and trying to find our niche. So been fun so far, been exciting, but definitely a lot of work to go and a lot of places that we want to try to take this.
Can you talk a little bit about what came first? Was it your interest for coffee or was it your background in golf? And then why combine the two?
Yeah, so definitely golf came first, only because I don't think I was really drinking a lot of coffee at 13, 14 years old. Not long after, though, I did start. So the golf definitely came first, and I played a little bit of college golf myself, so I understand the journey that a lot of your guests have, and maybe not to the same skill level that they've attained, but understanding the process, getting my foot in the door wherever I can, and trying to make something out of it. When we started this, I didn't necessarily think, I'm going to go and start my own company. I want to start, a brand and build it up from there. I've had a passion for golf for the last 10, 20 years of my life. And then the coffee that came afterwards, and seeing how the two intersect in a lot of ways was something that really excited me and showed me that there is an opportunity to fill a gap in the marketplace and put out a product that people enjoy, want to continue to use and drink. And coffee is something that's very, very personal to a lot of people. You have your favorite coffee shop that you go to, you have the same order that you always get. So just being able to have something that people enjoyed and if I could bring in some of the golf side of things, then that was even better from my standpoint. So when starting this brand out, I really wanted to put together a great product first and foremost. That was my main goal. I want to have a great product because, it doesn't matter about the branding, it doesn't matter about the website. If the product's not good, you're not going to get repeat customers. So that was my main focus in starting this out. And eventually it evolved more when I started seeing the kind of synchronization between golf and coffee, and it just kind of made the most sense to me.
Yeah, that's really cool. It shows how there's a lot of preparation so that your end result has been an incredible deliverable that goes a long way into retaining repeat customers. Well, one question that came to mind, getting Two Putt off the ground, has there been any moments for you along the way that have been encouraging for you to keep going and say, hey, this idea that I had to start a coffee brand, I think I'm actually moving in a really good direction?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if anyone out there has ever started a business, especially an e-commerce business mainly, where you're selling a lot online, that first sale is a proof of concept in a lot of ways. When you get someone else who you've never talked to, you've never interacted with, come to your site and say, I want to spend my money and buy that product, then that's really something that's super encouraging. And I mean, we didn't get our first sale until probably a month after our website launch. So when you're in it every day, it can be a little discouraging. But when you get even just one order, and obviously it's grown from there, but once you get that first order, it kind of gets the wheels turning and kickstarts everything else and just puts a little bit more fire under you to go out there and, keep building on it and seeing where you can take it.
Was that an intentional decision to be more on an e-commerce platform than partnering with brick and mortars?
So yeah, we've started selling more so in farmers markets locally, selling a few bags on the weekends and things like that. And eventually there's a untapped market online. So let's move it over there, see how we can supplement sales that way. And building that up has been a journey over the last year. But like I said, once you get that first sale and you start seeing website traffic ticking up and people are, signing up for your email newsletters and discounts and things like that, it really reinforces the idea that you had and keeps you motivated to keep going.
And now talking about growing the brand. So like you said, you had a proof of concept that, hey, people actually like what I'm selling. People like what I'm putting together. So we talk about having some headwinds. You guys have some momentum. For Two Putt, what were some challenges that you faced in terms of getting it up off the ground?
So I think with any new business, new brand, the biggest challenge is getting eyeballs onto what you're doing initially. It's easy to get a nice logo. It's easy, not, I shouldn't say easy, but it's easier to get a nice logo. It's easier to kind of price out your product, build your website, things like that. Once you have everything done, the big challenge is now getting people to actually click buy and, put stuff in their cart and, trust that they're getting essentially what you're trying to sell to them, a good product that has some alignment with other interests in their life.
Obviously, you've branded yourself in a way that's more golf centric. Have you found that the majority of your customers are golf people, or is there a customer that's like, hey, like I'm into coffee and no, this is a fun brand?
I don't know if we've gotten a ton of insight into that just yet. I feel like for the most part, if you're seeing what we do, you're visiting, our site, then you're a little bit interested in golf. I think if that doesn't really hit any of the switches in your brain, then you'll probably just find something else. But no, we've had a mix of men, women, some older people and younger people. So it's been a mix of interest in what we're doing, which I think is great because coffee is a very personal thing, and so is golf. Golf's not limited to one, one gender, young or older people. Obviously, there's a ton more younger audience getting involved in golf, more so than when I was first getting into it. It was kind of like an old man's game a little bit, but
Sure.
just seeing the types of different people who are, our product resonates with is another proof of concept in the sense that we're not limited to just golfers. Maybe there's a parent or a family member who knows of someone who's really into golf and finds our website and says this would be an awesome birthday gift or Christmas gift or something like that. So I would say, just to answer your question, that the majority is golfers, but you get a few people here and there who find it and pleasantly surprised by what the final product is.
That goes back into the final product being excellent. If I'm not into golf at all and I try this coffee, hey, this is dang good coffee. This is good stuff. That's another way you're able to reach another market. Kind of along those lines, can you talk a little bit about how you source your beans? What does roasting look like? And what does that process look like for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So we source all of our beans ourselves. They are all grade 1 single origin coffee beans. For anyone who's unfamiliar with coffee grading, grade 1 is the highest, and it essentially means that the beans that we sell have the least amount of imperfections within the beans. So we source the raw beans ourselves here locally in Rhode Island and ship the product out soon after. So we're not roasting, bagging, and then having the beans sit on a shelf for a few months and then sending it out whenever an order comes in. We roast fresh weekly and we ship, our most fresh beans. So if some of our beans don't sell, we get rid of that batch, we get a fresh batch in, and that's what we send out to customers.
You probably get this all the time, but whenever you're starting a new business and people walk by your stand at the farmer's market or see you on social media, they're like, well, Two Putt Coffee, where does that come from? Obviously, it's a golf term, but what's the origin story behind the brand?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The origin behind it is that we wanted something that was approachable
Mm.
and reliable, consistent, and felt
Ew.
that a two putt was the perfect kind of intersection of that. If you're even a little bit familiar with golf, you know that a two putt in a lot of cases is not a bad thing. Especially if you're on the green in regulation, you get a two putt, you leave with your par. That's not a bad score. Something that, like I said, was reliable, consistent, and had a little bit of fun to it. Obviously we could have done one putt coffee, but felt like that was a little unrealistic.
Unrealistic,
You're not
unreliable.
yeah, unreliable, and not really, not really authentic. It just felt like two putt it just had that kind of fun connotation, and it also, aligned with the product that we have. And like I said, when you get something like coffee, it's can be inconsistent no matter where you get it. So we wanted people to know that when they're buying it, they're getting a consistent product. It's going to be the same every time, and you can rely on it just like you can with a two putt.
People would pay a lot of money to do the branding, to get a name like that, and for that to be the origin story. It's so sick.
Not to get too into it, but our slogan is smooth from tee to green. It just felt like when you go out and you play and you get a par on a hole, that's usually the ideal kind of scenario. You go out,
Yeah.
you hit it into the fairway, hit it onto the green, two putt, take your medicine and walk off. It just felt like the right blend of not too serious, which we're not. We don't want to take ourselves too seriously because you can't take yourself too seriously in golf. You're never gonna succeed in that way. But just wanted something that wasn't too serious and was approachable for a lot of different people.
More and more so, probably more so than when you and I played in college. The game is becoming more analytical. We're more dialed in about strokes gained, all these different statistics and barometers for what success looks like. But one thing I got out of that year was understanding what good golf actually looks like. And so obviously make percentage from 3 feet is 97% tour average. But once you back that up to 5, 8 feet, the percentage goes down to 50, 20%. So I found that fascinating of like, hey, we think the bar is supposed to be this. But actually, if you are two putting, for lack of a better term, you're not losing strokes. And so the idea about Two Putt Coffee, it being consistent, reliable, and probably having healthy expectations for what this coffee, the standard of what this coffee needs to be, is really cool. We touched on it a little while ago of you wanting to get your coffee in more stores. Obviously, you want the e-commerce side to continue to grow. It's down the road. If you can continue to execute, continue to grow the brand, grow a following, would it excite you to have a storefront where you're operating a coffee shop? Is that something that you ever think about or daydream about?
Yeah, it is. I don't know if it's in the traditional sense of brick and mortar coffee shop. The way we kind of envision it is more so as, an extension of an existing country club or an existing, golf course where someone can go, you have a personalized coffee experience either before your round or after your round, maybe even after, your meal to a normal country club experience. You typically play around, eat in the clubhouse, and then, be on your way after that. But that's more of what the vision is long term, is having something that really just dives entirely into the golf side of things, because
Hmm.
ultimately that's what excites me, and that's what I think excites a lot of our customers, is being able to have that intersection between coffee and golf. So I think long term vision, more so getting involved with country clubs and actual golf courses instead of having a,
Mhm.
a brick and mortar. But yeah, who's to say what the future might exactly hold?
That's a good point. You're aligning yourself with people who are already aligned with the game of golf in the first place. That tracks of trying to get in where people already have a common interest about the game of golf. And so let's get in front of people who are more warm and receptive to that in the first place. Instead of trying to invite people in, it's like, well, the people are already there
Mhm.
with that idea and concept. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I think our big thing is more so educating golfers. So when you have that audience in one location, and you have, like I said, a product that you know is high quality and that people are going to enjoy, being able to educate them in that setting just amplifies the experience for both parties and provides a unique opportunity to learn more about something that maybe you didn't have a ton of knowledge about, and at the same time supporting a small business, supporting
Mm-hmm.
an activity that you love, seeing how those two intersect.
Two Putt Coffee coming to a country club near you. You heard it here first. No, I'm just kidding.
I love it.
Let's speak it. That's cool. Have you had any conversations? Obviously, that's a goal of yours, but have you talked to any general managers of country clubs to say like, hey, this could actually work here?
Yeah, it's more so the food and beverage managers of country clubs. In some cases, it is the general manager or the head pro, depending on the course itself. But we've had some initial conversations, more so about getting the product at the course and getting some additional exposure to golfers for what we offer. We actually, it's not a country club, but we sponsored an event down in Florida at the end of last year. They were doing espresso martinis, so we provided them with our espresso blend, and that's what they made the martinis with. So it also provides a unique
Yeah, that's sick.
opportunity there where it's not just coffee in the typical sense where it's, you drink it in the morning and then you're done with it. It's coffees, espressos, any kind of coffee enhanced beverage, either alcoholic, non-alcoholic, just a lot of opportunities to explore and experiment in that sense.
Kind of pivoting a little bit. I'm curious about what does the golf scene in Rhode Island look like? Are you based out of Providence? Is that right?
Just outside Providence, yeah.
Outside of Providence. Do you still get to play a little bit? And if so, where do you get to play?
Yeah, totally. The golf in Rhode Island and surrounding areas throughout New England has always been exceptional. Obviously, we don't have a full season like some other places, but when it's prime time, middle of the season, some of the golf courses we have, I think, they're hard to beat just in terms of history, layout, condition, things like that. So it's a great public golf scene.
Hmm.
In New England, there's obviously great country clubs. You have the country club up in Massachusetts
Hmm.
and things like that, and a lot of private clubs in the area. But the public golf scene here is really something to. There's something to be said for it. There's a ton of awesome courses that don't cost a lot of money, and you get
Cool.
a great experience.
Are there any courses that if I'm in the area for the weekend, are there any courses that you'd be like, Earl, you should definitely check out?
Yeah, well, if you're in Rhode Island, I will say Triggs Memorial
Hmm.
is in Providence. It's a municipal course, so it's owned by the city, but it's open year round. So even right now, and there's a little bit of snow outside, they're not going to let golfers out, but once that snow melts, you can go out and play in the middle of January, the middle of February, wherever. And they've really done a lot in the last year. So I think they have some new ownership that's put some money into it. Updated clubhouse, greens, tee boxes, fairways are always in fantastic condition. Especially, you wouldn't expect when you hear a Muni course, you think, it's going to be a dog track. There's going to be dirt spots everywhere, but they really do a great job. 18 holes, super challenging front nine, and I believe it's a Donald Ross design as well. He's
Yeah,
done
yeah.
a ton of courses in New England. You got the wide open approaches to the green, so you can challenge it, but it's not an easy course. So definitely say Triggs is a great one.
Are you a cold weather golfer? If there's snow on the ground, are you the type of guy that's going to go out?
Yeah, for sure. My dad still plays every week. He's got a saying, "No snow, we go." So that's
Hmm.
kind of the mantra around here.
Was your dad the guy who introduced you to the game?
Yeah, yeah, he was. Well, it's a funny story actually. I would go growing up. I would go out maybe play once or twice a year with him. Didn't really have much interest in it, and then every summer would go to a different kind of sports camp, basketball camp, soccer camp, something like that. I think I was 13 or 14 at the time, and I was like, I'm going to do a golf camp this summer, see how I like it. I got a couple other buddies who are doing it as well. Went and did it. Didn't really think too much of it, just kind of, teenager, not really thinking too much about it. But at the end of the camp, we had a putting competition, and I actually ended up winning it and got a free club from the pro shop, a Cobra putter. It wasn't anything special, it
Yeah,
was probably $100 at the time, but
yeah,
that moment kind of, put a fire under me. And I was like,
yeah.
this is actually kind of fun and, see what else I can do with it. And then obviously after that, my dad was all aboard and, started going out and playing more often with him and just kind of snowballed from there. He definitely got me into it. And he's kind of been the biggest supporter, I would say, throughout my
Hmm.
golfing career. He was always at golf tournaments, even when I played in college, a little D3 school, so
Hmm.
nothing significant, but he was always at tournaments, following me around, maybe one of the only parents out there, just kind of being that support system. So he's always been
That's cool.
great influence in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. What does he think about Two Putt Coffee?
He likes it. he's a big coffee drinker, so
That's
definitely give
cool.
him some free bags, get his input on it. But
That's cool. Family discount.
yeah, family discount, free 99.
Whenever you were in school, was it in Rhode Island or did you go somewhere else?
Yeah, I went to school in Rhode Island, just outside Providence.
This is a question I typically ask some of the college kids of like why they end up where they end up. Was there ever a point for you? This is more of a life question, but was there ever a point for you where you're like, hey, I might, leave Rhode Island. I might go somewhere else. I need to spread my wings. I need to, figure any of that out. Did you end up where you are now?
Yeah, so never really, never really felt like I needed to spread my wings. I'm a big family person, so always kind of
Yeah.
want to be close to family. Didn't grow up in Rhode Island, so the majority of my family is still about an hour or so away. But yeah, went to school down here, liked the area, kind of grew up in a small town, not really anything significant. So even moving to Rhode Island, it's the smallest state. No one really thinks much of it, but Providence is a, significant city in the area. I enjoyed it. I liked it enough to stick around, set some roots up in here and bounced around a little bit, but always ended up coming back to this area, which was a nice medium where I could still be close to family and still, do my own thing and have the space that, needed to metaphorically spread my wings, I guess you could say.
So it's cool the connectivity of you and your fam. And I know a lot of people are like, man, I'm ready to leave. At the same time, I know for myself, like having some time away, I'm like, man, there's something in me that's like, man, I really miss just like being with my family, like being able to, go down the street and say, hey, I can go get dinner with them, see them is really nice.
Yeah, I think at every point in people's life, they probably think to themselves, there's a lot more out there that I could be going out and doing. For everyone it's different. You and I personally, I mean, it's important to be close to family. I have a great relationship with my entire family, and I have a big family too. It's not like it's just mom and dad. I have huge families. Just a big support system. Family parties are always
That's cool.
something that I've enjoyed and valued and appreciate, and I never take those for granted. It's, like I said, just a happy medium of still being able to kind of get away and do my own thing and not being too far away from the people that mean the most.
Not that this would influence any of the business at all, but being connected to where you grew up, being tied to your family, and obviously like tied to the community itself is probably good for Two Putt as well in terms of going to different farmers markets and knowing your audience. You're not some transplant coming in from somewhere else and trying to say, hey, I'm selling this thing. I moved in from wherever. It's like you kind of have some credibility from where you are. And obviously like your business, you have a touch point in Memphis, Tennessee, a fan from Memphis, Tennessee. So it's like your brand is continues to grow and is spread all throughout the United States, maybe the world. Like maybe we can
A
fact check that
little
at
bit.
some point. But yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah. But having that base gives you a platform, and like you said, metaphorically allows you to spread your wings, which
Yeah,
is
and
which is really cool.
it's whatever kind of you make of it. Like especially with Two Putt, we wanted to do things locally. That's why we're still here in the area, roasting locally. Like I said, we've worked with a lot of local vendors, even just doing like some of the creative side of things, some of the
Yeah.
other products that we have that we offer. Just trying to work with small businesses and work locally as much as we can. I think is kind of one of our main goals as we continue to try to grow is doing things that we can appreciate value and support other people who are trying to do the same thing that we're doing. I think really is another huge motivating factor, but just something that I think goes under the radar. And when people hear it, they resonates a little bit more with them. You're not buying something from like a huge corporation or anything like
Hmm.
that. It's people like you and me trying to make it and rough it out there, and not just with Two Putt, but with some of the other people that we work with. They're all kind of in similar situations where they
Yeah.
got their own business and they're trying to grow it as much as they can as well.
That's really cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the last Swing State six pack of the Swing State Coffee Break. We are with my friend Justin from Two Putt Coffee. And also, before we get into the Swing State six pack, I do want to highlight Two Putt Coffee is partnering with Swing State this spring to be our sponsor for our next 5 episodes. As we ramp up the college golf season, as we begin to have more and more players in this spring, you're going to get to hear more and more about Two Putt. So we're really excited and really thankful for Justin and his team wanting to hop on and support. We're big fans and very grateful. So Justin, you ready to get going for this Swing State six pack?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, question number 1, Justin, you talked about a Triggs Memorial. We talked about, some fun golf courses, in the Rhode Island area, Providence area. I'm just curious, what's your favorite golf course you've ever played?
Favorite golf course I've ever played would have to be Port Royal out in
Mm,
Bermuda. I believe they had the Bermuda Championship there the last few years, but just a absolutely beautiful course. I think it's the 17th hole is a par 3. It's right on the water. just absolutely stunning. Some of the best views I think you'd ever get on a golf course, but that's probably the nicest place that I've ever played.
Would also be sick. Port Royal, someone, if you're listening, general manager, F&B manager, if you hear this and you need a coffee vendor, I know a guy. Second
We do
question.
ship internationally.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We got to grow the global brand. Second question, follow up to that. Favorite course you've never played?
Favorite course I've never played. God, is there? I mean, how much time do you got? There's a laundry list of courses that I would love to play. I mean,
Top
hard
three.
not to say St. Andrews, the
Yeah.
birthplace of golf. Not to be too cliche, but Pebble Beach, another one, and then one that maybe a little bit more under the radar, but just everything I've seen on Instagram and on social is awesome. But Tobacco Road, that was a course that I'd love to. And plus, it's got a great name. I love the name.
Tobacco Road. Yeah. That's our first, believe it or not, that's our first St. Andrews shout out.
That's crazy.
Yeah. First St. Andrews shout out. Obviously, first Tobacco Road shout out. So well done. We're going to transition into some coffee questions. Favorite way to drink coffee?
Favorite way to drink coffee? I mean, I'm a big espresso guy. I love a good Americano. It's very simple. I don't like anything in the coffee, so it's just a shot of espresso and cold filtered water is really not a long black. It's a little bit different. The long black, you pour the espresso over the water versus pouring the espresso in and then the water on top of it. But Americano is the favorite way right now to drink.
Let's set up our next question. So you get an invite to go play Tobacco Road. You get to bring 3 people with you. Who's your dream foursome?
That's another good question. I mean, I grew up turn of the century, so I mean, Tiger Woods was obviously the biggest influence. Would love to be out there with him. I honestly wouldn't feel worthy, but would love for him to be out there. And then being from New England, I know this will probably rub some people the wrong way, but Tom Brady is, personal hero of mine. Having him, I know he golfs, so having him, 2 of the goats out there, him and Tiger. And then this might sound a little corny, but I'd want my dad out there, the 4 of us, because I'd love for him to experience it too. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the only one to experience that. And I know he's a huge Tiger fan as well, and he's from Boston, so he knows all about what Tom Brady means to this area. So I think that would probably be the dream foursome.
That is awesome and sweet. You said your dad appreciates and understands everything that he's meant to this area. So is he a Tom Brady fan?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I meant. Tom Brady has meant so much to this area. I mean, right now, I feel like we're almost a little spoiled now with what's going on in the playoffs. But
yeah,
we're not gonna forget what Tom's meant to this area for the last decade or two.
Question number 5. Outside of Two Putt Coffee, obviously, what are some? You can either answer this one of 2 ways. You can go coffee brands that you like right now, golf brands that you like right now, or if you know of any other brands that are kind of like hybriding the two, like Two Putt Coffee, you can shout them out. But is there any brand that you've enjoyed over the last 6 months?
There is one person on Instagram that we're following. I don't know if they're really a golf brand necessarily, more so just kind of like a single individual doing what they can, but they make a ton of custom head covers. They're called FPS, based out of Japan. The way that they build their head covers, they use different materials that you wouldn't normally see. That uniqueness, I think, is a golf brand that we're following closely and definitely admiring. But one other brand that I'm really fond of is Power Built Golf. They're out in California,
They're back.
but they are. And they're not messing around. Some of the products that they've dropped, limited edition putters and things like that, bring in the true sense of golf back. I communicated a little bit here and there, but just what they're doing is super fun to follow and super fun to be a part of.
To be dormant for 2 decades and then they resurface like that, it's insane.
Pick it. It's like they didn't even miss a step. They got right back into it, and some of the products that they've been offering. I mean, just in regard to the putters, obviously with Two Putt, we're big on different putters. Their putters they're beautiful, and they keep coming out with new models. And yeah, like I said, I'm just excited to see what they come out with next because so far it's been fun to follow.
So you think their putters are reliable, consistent, high quality? Is that what we're saying?
Definitely high quality. I've seen one for myself. They definitely don't skimp on quality. By all means, they exemplify what we're trying to do here at Two Putt.
What are some things you're looking forward to heading into this upcoming year for Two Putt Coffee?
Growing what we've already started and getting into more places, getting more people to discover us, getting into more spaces maybe outside of golf. Not to say that golf still isn't the intersection of the coffee, but getting our brand, like we were talking about earlier, exposed, to more people who aren't necessarily golfers. I think people understand quality products regardless of if you're, golfer, coffee drinker, whatever. If you experience something firsthand, then you can see, whether it's good quality or not. Trying new things and introducing some new products, some new offerings. We have some plans later this year to, introduce some new types of coffees and maybe a couple more products to our shop, really focusing on what we've built up to this point and trying to continue growing our following and our audience.
Thanks for tuning into the show this week. Justin, founder of Two Putt Coffee and partner heading into the spring season, which we're really, really excited about. Justin, thank you so much for hopping on the show and letting us learn a little bit about Two Putt Coffee and what's ahead for you guys.
Yeah, thank you, James. It's been an honor to join you, and I'm excited to see where Swing State goes as well. And I appreciate you letting me tell a little bit about what we're doing at Two Putt.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.